Okay, so one argument against Christianity I did feel like I wanted to talk about today. Um, this is one that doesn't bother me a whole lot, but it does bother a lot of other people, so I do want to explain it is whether or not prophecy gets in the way of the idea of free will existing. So the argument goes something like this. A prophecy is made, okay? And so that's gonna happen in the future. Now the question then becomes: was it people's choice to make that happen, or was it the fact that it was said that made it happen, and therefore these guys have no free will? I mean that's kind of a it's kind of it's kind of a it's kind of a summary of what the argument is, but it kind of goes in regards to like that. It's like because these things are dictated as things that will happen, and then they happen, is that predeterminism, or is that just foreknowledge? Is that just knowing the future? Um, Now, I definitely think that there can be a debate to which degree free will exists. Um, I mean, all of our thought patterns are electrical signals, so it's an iffy subject anyway. But I do want to aim to explain how this does not cause this. Instead, this causes this. So if you want to make an internal critique about Christianity, you kind of have to take the whole of the Christian framework into play. So a lot of people will take, oh, we have prophecies, therefore anyone who does something mentioned in a prophecy has no free will. And that's sort of like the internal critique, but you have to take the whole of Christianity into it. And if you take the whole of Christianity into it, you'll realize that um, we kind of believe that God is omnipotent, omnipresent, which does not only mean existing in every place, but every time. So, and also like out of time to an extent, like He created time. Um, so from God's perspective, He sees this and He sees this at the same time, right? Like we see, because we're in the confines of time, we'd see this event before we see this event. But from like God's perspective, He sees like the whole of human history laid out before Him, right? Now He can kind of choose what to do in regards to that, in regards to like everything that we do. And this is sort of the thing I've thought about, is that the Christian God is the type of God who can hear a prayer from the future and answer it in the past. Right, and this is something I kind of want to get into with like my stories with the 12-sided mirror, is that you all see time as like a wall, like the wall is like this impassable barrier that we can't get through. But because we are communicating with someone outside of time, time should not be a wall to us. Time should not be like a barrier, right? Um, and so, in a Christian worldview, stuff from the future can cause things to happen in the past. Therefore, Judas did not sell Jesus because the prophecy said so. The prophecy said so because Judas betrayed Jesus. So, regardless of what the prophecy said, Judas was just going to do whatever he wanted, right? Whether or not he was going to read that, whether or not whatever, Judas had his own desires and his own motivations, and so he chose to sell Jesus um, to the Romans. Um, because he did that, God saw it, and therefore God told a prophet to record that event. Now, that doesn't mean that these words somehow caused Judas to do this. It more so means Judas caused the prophet to say this, right? That might be a confusing thing to understand. that might be a very confusing thing to understand because we still do see time as like a line, sort of like we're here, we'll be here, we and like we can't go back here, we can only go this way, like we can only go this way, whereas God can go in any of these directions. Um, so we do kind of see time as more like a line, more of a wall sort of situation. Um, but here's the thing. I would argue that something along the lines of Judas even being able to sell Jesus to the Romans, I would argue that this actually is proof of free will. This right here is actually something you can argue could be used towards free will. Because it's like, why would God want this to happen? This would only happen if God allows humans to make choices based on their own will. Because, like, they could have had this whole redemption arc without someone selling Jesus to the Romans. They could have had that. But because someone decided that it would be much better if he had, like, all the money in Davy Jones's back pocket, that means that that means that was prophesied, right? This is confusing to explain, and I'm not sure this will get through people's heads. But I think the primary thing you want to look at is the cause and effect relationship, because like the whole debate on free will is about cause and effect. What causes the effect? And so, since most people say this causes this because it's in the past, that means free will doesn't exist. But in our view, in Christianity, we say that the future can cause the past to an extent, right? The future can cause a past event. And it's still your choices, and the choices of everyone else deciding the future that we're all going to live in, right? Uh, that might be confusing to understand, but I hope I explained it good enough.